Hello, students. Hope you're doing great. Welcome to another lesson. Today we'll talk about personal statement, one of the most important elements of your application. Now, there are multiple essay requirements you might encounter when you're trying to prepare your application. Different universities, again, have different policies and different requirements. Somebody might ask you to write an essay which is 500 words. Someone might ask you to write an essay which is 1,000. Somewhere you might have more flexibility and space to be creative. In other situations, they will just give you a specific set of questions that you will have to answer in still in a storytelling way, but it's going to be more limited to the questions they provided. In this instance, the framework that I created, I worked on it for quite a while, considering the fact that I have been admitted to 27 universities in the US, and over the course of my applications, I learned that this framework that you can see right now on the screen is pretty much the core of what any essential personal essay consists of. So we will try to extrapolate here all of the contents and see how can you implement this framework when you write your personal essay. So let's dive in. First of all, obviously, you have to keep in mind that you have to read those requirements, right? Again, each university requires different things. So understanding what are the requirements of a particular program you're applying to is the most important initial step. Then, when we look at the framework, what do I even mean by framework? It's really pretty much the table of contents in some way. The paragraphs, the way you will structure the paragraphs in your essay. So, first of all, you always will start with a background. And background, might be more creative, might be less creative, but at the end of the day, it's something about who you are or something that points back to your some origin story that is an anchor of the entire essay, right? But it's ultimately an introduction. It can be one sentence, it can be a paragraph, and we will talk about that a little bit more in detail when we look at the actual sample that I will also, by the way, provide you with, and I will upload it to the course materials that you can download and work with. So the next paragraph would be pretty much why this field major professional specialization. Now, if you're in bachelor's and not master's degrees, or maybe even lower than that, like associate degree, you might have another mixture here. You might put a little bit more, sprinkle a little bit more of your story. But at the end of the day, at some point, you have to explain why do you want to study this particular specialization, this profession. If you want to become, for example, a law student, right? Like, why law? And it's interesting because in previous classes I told you that you have to answer some of the questions for yourself as a self-discovery to understand what university you need to get into. And it's interesting how they are kind of like related to they are echoing to the same questions you have in the essay, because at the end of the day, when you chose university, now it's still the same idea that you have to explain to the admission office why that university, why this program, etc. So let's move forward, and let me show you a few more things here within this framework. So after you explained why this specialization or major field, then you would just explain why do you want to study kind of as a whole. What are your education and career goals, right? That's important because they want to see you as motivated student who knows what he or she wants. We talked about it. You might change your goals in length of time multiple times. But that's not the point here. The point here, you need to show that you're motivated, you are super active, you're proactive, you're curious, you are knowledgeable, and you are ready to, go through the academic experience to obtain those education goals and set yourself up for a good career. So that's why you have to explain that in a number of sentences, like why? Why do you want to study? So then why now? Like, what's the urgency, right? Maybe it might be a common sense for you, but might not be for admission office. They need to know why now. Why is it the best time? Maybe you are at a point in your life that you just want to finish the education. Maybe you're young. Maybe you're way later in your life. You're like 40, 50, 60 years old. You want to study. You want to change. You're changing. You're making a career shift. There are multiple reasons you can have. So explain why now is the best time. Now, on this one, you don't need to focus too much. Make it short. Then I put here why United States, where in reality you can put any country here. Like why UK, why Canada, why Germany, why Spain, right? So any country, why you want to study in that particular country, whether you will study abroad as an international student, or if you're a domestic student and you are studying in the US, let's say you're an American student studying in the US, obviously you don't have to explain why United States. That's why I put optional here. So they just get an idea. You have to use this when it makes sense. Then more background. Like if you can then connect in that framework anything to your skills, projects, interests, which basically echoes the education career goals, that's going to be great. And the way you do it, you kind of like say, hey, I want to achieve such and such goal. And my experience working in this company at this point in time set me for a successful future in accomplishing this goal, etc., etc., etc. So meaning you are connecting the dots basically. So then the most interesting part, which you have to explain why this school or program, like why Harvard, why University of Oklahoma, why University of Texas NAM. You have to explain why the university that you chose is good for you, why it's best, what resources that university has, what professors, what research, what labs, what opportunities, what courses, what curriculum, what student communities, right? And you have to explain why that university is the best for you. Now, and why you as a candidate? Like, what's your ultimate, so to speak, like, what do you bring to the table? What's your ultimate game here? Like, why are you the best candidate for this program? Because you already explained your skills, you already explained your reasoning, your background. Now just make a conclusive statement, almost as if it's your brand statement, like why you will be the best candidate for this program. Now, a few things to also keep in mind. This is basically the base framework. And then other things you need to know is like you need to make all of this as a storytelling flow. So it feels like a story. You shouldn't make it too much as a bullet pointed list, like it's a resume, a college CV. So make it as a storytelling approach. And then obviously have still to have logic and reasoning, right? Meaning uh, everything needs to be coherent and cohesive. Then when I say colors here, what do I mean is like you need to provide maybe a few creative, you need to leverage a few creative elements, and then if you can sprinkle some of the things that are interesting about you specifically, that put you in a position of being unique, then these are colors you have to put. And then highlights again, highlights of your life, highlights of your big successes, etc. Structure, it can be anything from, if it's creative, if the statement of your introduction is creative, then you can start with one or two sentences. But if it's a paragraph, it can be anywhere from like 1 to 4 sentences. It really depends. And then obviously you might end up having anywhere from like 4 to 6 paragraphs overall, and you obviously have to have introduction, some key parts like culmination, right? And then you have conclusion. So you definitely need to follow that. This is the base structure of any essay you will write. So again, a few other things specifically related to why this school and program. I pretty much mentioned it already, but I wanted to provide you here with a bulleted list just in case you will need to have it at your fingerprints, so to speak. Is the things that you can mention when you're trying to justify why you chose that particular university. Now, a few other things is ideas for optional or scholarship essays. Sometimes university requires you to have different, essays that you can write in addition to a personal statement, and they might give you like too much flexibility that you won't know even what to write about. So you can write about is exactly this. Some of the ideas I put here, it can be anything about hobby, entrepreneurship, personal stories, athletic accomplishments, whatnot. Anything that paints you as a strong candidate for that particular program. Now, here you have it. This is the base framework. And again, I'm going to upload it to the course materials. This is where you can start, and then we go to a draft, and I will show you in the next lesson a few things about a specific essay sample. See you there. Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video. I want to make sure that you take the full value and you check out the course, since this video that's an excerpt from the course, and you will be able to learn everything you need from A to Z on how to get admitted to the best university, to the university of your dreams. So make sure to check out the course, click the link in the description, or see us somewhere popping up here and there. Thank you, and let's get to watching.